extensively covered, posted and shared in social media, whereas other impeachment proceedings, mukha yatang wala namang ganun ako naaalala. What makes this thing different?
Well, because of the personalities, number one, and because of the necessity, and also because of the allegations and the grounds forwarded for impeachment. Let us not forget that the impeachment process is still part of the continuum of the electoral process. Because when we elected these people in office, dapat, sabi ng ating constitution, may safety valve tayo. We gave our consent to these people. But if along the way they commit certain serious infractions, may safety valve tayo, yung impeachment. So that therefore the impeachment is, sabi nga ng Korte Suprema, because it's in the Constitution, constitutional. Because it involves certain legal framework, it's legal, but also it's political. So therefore, this is mainly constitutional, legal, but for me, as very political. Kaya nga, nakalagay ito sa House of Representatives natin as a symbolic representation that if the people put you there, the people will take you out. So it's a removal process. No? Removal process. The allegations are serious, it merits consideration and even a hearing.
So in other words, Dean Mel, dun sa mga previous officials removed by impeachment, the allegations were not as serious as the allegations against VP Sara. That's why it required some kind of marathon hearings.
Well,
Naparami yata.
Exception natin si Erap Estrada. Because Erap Estrada, ang ground niya, graft and corruption rin. And eventually, na-convict pa nga siya ng Sandigan Bayan, pero na-pardon lang. Pero if you look at Sereno and Corona, salin lang yan. Pero dito, you're talking about assassination, 617 million, 125 million spent in 11 days. Talagang startling. Ibig sabihin, tingnan mo pa lang, nakakayanig na. And kaya kailangan makita ng tao yan. And besides, nakalagay sa ating constitution, there should be a hearing, except yung 1/3 direct vote to the Senate. But, of course, we have that decision in July 2025 and January 2026 na nagkaroon pa ng a little bit detailed process sa ating impeachment yun, na nasunod naman sa tingin ko.
Given that medyo nagkaroon ng special considerations that required this kind of hearings, Doc, ito, maraming nanonood doon, di ba? Do you think it will, or to put it differently, how can public opinion influence the vote of the legislators, either doon sa House or eventually, if ever, doon sa Senate?
I think it's already affecting the opinion of the legislators, and we know that some of them have already, changed their decisions or maybe withdrawn their support for or against the impeachment. And we can also see that in the Senate. I think isang factor dito is when the Vice President already declared 2 years early that she's running for president. And I think this is sort of a way of maybe, I wouldn't say pressuring, but influencing the decision of the senators and maybe even some congressmen on their decision. So what that means is all the polls, surveys show that she's the leading presidential candidate. So there's this sort of influencing factor that, in a way, they're saying that, okay, well, look, I could be the next, or she could be the next president of the Republic in 2028, and your decisions now could be, could really matter. I mean, whether they decide to impeach her or not. And if for example, they support the impeachment, but the impeachment does not go through, and she's able to win the the presidency, as an example, then I think that will, result it will have consequences for some senators and congressmen. So I'm just giving some scenarios there. And regarding the public uh, opinion. So there's this recent poll. It's not from Okta Research. It came from Tanghere, actually, Acquisition Apps Inc. And they said that this latest survey just released on May 6th, 90% of Filipinos, including majority of Duterte supporters, demand that the vice president face the Senate trial. So there's this public opinion that's supporting that she should face the Senate trial. Now, what the Senate will decide, like I said, there's also, it's going to also be influenced by the perception of the senators themselves regarding the winnability of the vice president in 2020.